Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Shenole here, and welcome to episode 4 of the Night and Day tutorial series. And when last we met, we had put together the main components of the website, but of course right now it's looking kind of ugly because we have to add the styles to it, which is of course what we're going to start with in this part of the tutorial. Now, before we get started with any kind of styling, I need to make a correction. In the HTML file from the previous video, episode 3, we had pasted and created this div with the class of frame. However, the ID should not be top, the ID should be bottom. Okay, and that's because we had copy and pasted from here where the ID was top. So make this ID bottom. We're going to save it. And now we're ready to do our style sheet. Alright, so first thing is we're going to need to create the file for the style sheet. Now, you're going to want to do, I guess, what's appropriate for your text editor, but for Adam, all I have to do is right click on the folder I'm going to have the file in, click new file, and let's name it. We're going to name it main.css. Okay, and there we have it. Now from here, I like to have a split screen view. So let me split right on Adam and throw that there, get rid of the extra index, and here we go. So now once we start coding the CSS, it'll be easier to just look back and forth and make it all nice and convenient. All right, now we're going to start coding, but before we do, just so you know, this first video we're gonna cover the fonts and images, and then the next videos will cover other aspects of the styling. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create sections of where code will go, and that's just because I like to be organized with everything, and I'm always trying to keep in mind of, you know, there might be other people coming in behind me to fix a code or do something or whatever. So we're going to have a section dealing just with the animations. We're going to have a section that will deal mostly with some of the general aspects of the of the styles. Then we're going to have a section that will deal just with the fonts. So fonts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. From there, we're going to have a section that will deal just with the images. Okay, and I don't know that most coders do things this way. I just like to, again, just for the sake of organization. And then lastly, we're going to have the sections that will actually implement the animation. So let's see, this will be, let's do night first. So night, and then finally day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're good. Okay, so from here we need to actually import the file that we're going to use. So in the description area of this video, you should see a link that will bring you to here, Google Fonts. Or you can just go to fonts.google.com. All right, and the font we're going to use is called Montserrat. Montserrat. So if you go to the search area here on the right, if you click M-O-N-T, it'll appear all the way here to the left. Okay, so we want it to be the light 300, and then we're going to add, and you'll see this window pop up here. So we're going to pop it up even bigger. And now there's two ways you can bring in a font. One is quote unquote the standard way. You can copy this code and then paste it into the head section of the HTML, but I'm not going to do it that way. I would rather do it this way, where we go to import. We're going to copy this code in between the two style tags, and then we're going to paste it at the top of the style sheet. So it's the first thing that's imported or taken care of when the browser is reading the code for the style sheet. All right, so let's hit it now. We're going to do some coding. We're going to code for the fonts and then code for the images. So fonts first. Let's see, we had H1 tag and H2 tag, and I think a couple of P tags. So let's hit the H1 tag first. And we're going to need the font family that's used. So let's go back to here, and you'll see where it says specify in CSS right here. It says font family. And it gives the name of the font we're going to use, but also a backup in case that font's not available. All right, so let's put it here. Okay, and then from here, let's take care of the stuff like the size, the weight. So font size. Oh my goodness gracious! Font size will be let's say 2 rem, and I'm going to add font weight. And it's not because it really has to be there, because if you look here, it's imported that way. But I'm still gonna put it as 300 here, just because I'm paranoid. Okay. Now this next thing, text transform. If you recall, in episode 3, I mentioned when we were doing the H1 and H2 tags. This is all lowercase, and I said we addressed it in the next video, which is now. So we're addressing it now. So instead of lowercase, we're going to have the code make everything uppercase. Okay? And then I like to add a spacing because it's kind of a cool effect, and I guess you'll see, or you already saw when I demonstrated the project, but word spacing. Oops, there we go. Word spacing. Let's make this 4 rems. I think was what it was. Okay, the color's going to be an off-white. Now, the running joke is if you're going to use an off-white, it's got to be F2, F2, F2. But we're going to do F9, F9, F9. How about that? We're going to dare to be different. Okay, and then lastly, let's align the text to the center. Now, moving to the H2. Okay. Whoops. We can actually copy and paste this stuff. Copy, paste. And we're just going to change what needs to be changed. So the size will be 1.25. Oh, one of my sisters just texted me. Okay, the font weight will now be bold, I believe. Yeah, bold, because it's H2. Okay, we're going to keep the uppercase here. The letter spacing is going to change, and I believe we used 0.75 in the original code. Okay, word spacing, we're not going to deal with that. But we will deal with the color and the text align. Those will stay the same. The thing that's going to be added now is margin. So we're going to have a margin left. I think that was 1. I'm going from memory here mostly because I've built this a few times. And then there's a margin bottom. Oh, bug. No, we don't want bugs. Whoa. I am not big on bugs. Okay, and this one will be 3.5. All right. So all that's left now for the fonts are the P tags, and we're going to do the primary P tag, which will provide inheritance to the second P tag. So once again, we're going to use. Actually, you know what? Let's copy and paste. Save a little time. Whoa. There we go. We still need this. Okay, but the font size will be 1. So let's do 1. This will no longer be bold, but it will be 300. Again, just being paranoid. We don't need the text transform. Actually, we don't even need this either. The letter spacing. Okay, we need the color. The text align we don't need, but we will need margin. But margin bottom, not margin left. And the bottom margin will just be 1 if I recall. Oops. Okay. And then finally, the p tag with the class of button text. Okay. Let's write button text. All right. And the only thing we're going to deal with here is a margin bottom. And that's going to be, my goodness gracious, I did it again. There we go, margin bottom, and that will be 0. All right, let's save this, and let's go to the browser and refresh it. Okay, and you can't see it too well, but we're just going to look at the H tag, and there it is. So here's that effect I meant. So everything's uppercase, and then you got a nice little amount of space in between each letter. It's just an effect I like. So, but let's keep going. So now let's hit up the images. So the first thing we'll do is do aim, and all the images are going to pretty much have a position of absolute. And we're going to put bottom of 90 pixels, and that mainly has to do with the land backgrounds, if I remember. Okay, so make a little space, and so now we're going to start homing in on something. So this will be the aim with the class of stars, and we want the width to be 100%. Because it's going to cover the whole sky. What else? The height should be 100%. There we go. And then opacity. Now we want this. We're going to give it a 0 so that it's transparent. But during some of the animations, it'll change to 1. But we'll get to that later. So, but anyway. For now, it's 0. And then lastly, we're going to have a Z index because we're going to be layering these images a particular way. And we'll give this one 0. All right, so the next aim will be of the moon. That was an ID. So ID of moon. This will, now both of these, in the original code, I put position absolute, but it's inheriting from here, so we don't actually really have to put it there. If I want to be as paranoid as I was up here, we would put it. But anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, so we're gonna take care of all the other characteristics, and that would be positioning. So left, let's make that. I think that was 35. From the bottom, we're going to be like 46%, and then the width of this was, I don't remember, I think it was 6%, pretty sure. And then, okay, now this will provide the position, the ending position that the animation will go to. Transform, translate. Whoa, translate, I said. Translate. Oh, the IntelliSense didn't work. Did I do? Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, and this will be 424. And how about negative 276? All right. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to give this a z-index, and it's going to be 1 because we want this to be definitely on top of the stars. All right, next is the sun. So aim, aim, sun, and let's copy this, paste it here. Okay, and what do you call it? The bottom will remain this. Actually, the bottom will be different if I recall. It should be 43. And we're not going to need a left position because it actually ends up kind of where we need it anyway. So we have the bottom, we have transform translate, which will remain the same actually, and then the z index will remain the same. Okay, so let's keep going. I think land is next. So in land, ID land. Okay, and so I think we only need two things for this. So we're going to give it 100% width, and then this will also need a z index. And we're going to need this layered on top of the sky stuff, so this will be 2. Moving on. Moving on up, moving on up. I can't sing. Okay, so this will be, we're going to zero in on the land overlay, which is the black copy of the colored land. Does that make sense? It's the silhouette. There we go. The silhouette version of the landscape. So land overlay, and okay, we want the width also to be 100%. We want the opacity that should be 0 because it's going to start off transparent and eventually fade in to give it the appearance of the landscape is shadowing. All right, and then the z index will give it a 3 because it needs to be on top of the original land image. All right, and that actually should cover. That should take care of all of the image code. So before we call it quits, let's go back to the browser and refresh. And okay, now it's starting to look a little bit more like something. Okay, there's still some things to have to take care of, but at least we're getting to a point where you know, things are starting to look a little bit cool, or the way they should. So, all right. So with that, I'll see you in the next video where we will hit upon the animations. So with that, I will say catch you later. Oh, and do not forget to hit the like button. Do not forget to hit subscribe, and make sure you share this video. Okay, now I'll see you in the next video.